Yeah.
People died not getting to see this moment, and finally they're gonna reconnect, and then bam! Oh, it's Griffith Adventure time!
You gotta love to be gone back yet. Love doesn't tell how they don't you grab it.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to Lobster Magnet and Friends. We didn't completely abandon you.
Yeah. I'm here again.
Yeah, and I'm here too. It's your old boy, Lobster Magnet, and his good old friend, gorogregoro. Woo!
It's your boy, gorogregoro.
So here's the plan. Because of Karen / friendly girl / I don't know, a bunch
Meerkat.
of Meerkat. She's so many goddamn nicknames. She's dragged Goro away to all these like activities, and I haven't had the strength to drag him back. But now she's on a 2-week vacation to Europe, so now I can like.
Actually, it's 10 days.
Ah, shit. Well, that's almost 2 weeks. It's enough time for me to like hopefully go through all the series that he's not been following and talk about them. So we're doing Berzerk first because the Berzerk had the least amount of content and it was the most to catch up. So in the 6 months where the Promised Neverland is supposedly starting its final arc, a lot of shit's happening in Dr. Stone.
Promised Neverland starting its final arc?
Yeah, there was an announcement with this recent chapter that like apparently this chapter, the most recent one that came out this week, is the start of the final arc, and there was even a 1.5-year time jump.
Holy crap!
So
is the series not doing too well, or?
No, I think it's doing well. It's getting an anime next year, so I don't feel like. I mean, when you eventually catch up, we'll talk about it. Since you're further along with that, it won't take you long. But let's talk about these 4 chapters of Berzerk. So, Goro, now that you have whatchamacallit, friendly friend girl, how did you relate to Guts finally getting to see Casca again and Casca being revived?
I don't know. It's not at all what I'd hoped it to be. It kind of it was starting out to be like some kind of very cliche kind of happy ending at first. I did like at the very end where she saw Guts up close and she immediately got traumatized and flashbacks of the horrible eclipse event and imagery of Griffith deformed and back when they tried to free him. I like that the details of the art were very good at those particular moments.
And were you happy to see her back? The fact that she'd been conscious to a certain degree, the fact that she'd recognized who Farnze and Shirke were?
Yeah, that's not what I expected.
What did you
her reaction to be?
What did you expect, though? Were you expecting something? Because it feels like the not happy ending is still potentially there.
I thought she would freak out, sort of from the get-go. She seemed very nonchalant about oh, you're actually real. I thought I was experiencing a dream. Well, she's still on her meds or something like that a little bit.
Well, the interesting thing about the two forces colliding is that basically we've got Golden Era Berserk with modern Berserk. In that she's the last remaining vestige of the Golden Era, where Berserk was slightly a little bit more grounded, versus now the new era where it's a little bit more like a conventional D&D party. So for me, that's interesting. But then Kentaro Muera does the ultimate fuck you, where after the big meeting that some Berserk fans are off in the grave who died without seeing this day. God, that must suck so much if you die with something half completed that you're really invested into.
Yeah.
People died not getting to see this moment, and finally they're gonna reconnect, and then bam! Oh, it's Griffith Adventure time.
Yeah, it was just like random ass like part of the story where Griffith and his armies are fighting giants.
We gotta go back to
I
Griffith.
don't understand this part of the story, like why it's important at all. Like maybe like eventually we figured out, oh, you getting these stones as like a quarter
Wait,
to Griffith Land.
say it about the stones. You had like a little internet break. A little internet
Oh
break up.
yeah. So like apparently I guess they fought these giants so they can get these stones to strategic points to teleport back to Griffith Land. They're like, to me it seemed like very gratuitous, kind of like filler-esque kind of a battle with Griffith and the giant army.
Well, we gotta.
Because like in terms of the story, like that's not at all what I'm like concerned about. I'm more concerned about what happened to Rickert, what happened with Casca and her trauma. I want to see like some more of those things, and maybe like I want to see like Griffith society like falter from within. Like I want to see like the inner depths of the corruption within Griffith society.
Well, that's the big question that we've been waiting for years. There's two options from here. Number one, we learn that Griffith society is evil and corrupt, and he's like having women and men raped and eaten by demons. Or number two,
Yep.
Griffith actually does build his magical utopia, and it's the best thing that could ever happen to mankind. And then Guts kills it all because he just can't let go.
And I feel like we got a little bit of a hint from that when Rickert was confronted by the assassin. That level of this is a word I'm looking for, subterfuge.
Well,
Yeah.
that assassin's kind of weird because technically he was never allied with Griffith. So as far as we know, Griffith never sent him. He was like one of those kind of like edgelordy guys. Like, you remember the water guy in whatchamacallit?
Naruto?
Yeah, Naruto, Sugetsu or something like that.
Yeah.
Remember how he was like edgy? He was like, I'm gonna kill Susky. Nobody can kill Susky before me. But then he never does anything.
Yeah, but they still ally with each other. Like you still associate the assassin guy with Griffith.
I don't really know. Like, you kind of do, but he's always like, I'm going to take the White Hawk's head. I'm going to come for you, White Hawk. And he's technically for the cushion side, so I don't know. His allegiance were always kind of very ambiguous.
I want to look this up right now, actually.
But
I don't even know what his name is.
it's something with a B, like Bakura or blah, blah, blah. Something along those lines. But yeah, you're never like quite sure if is he on Griffith's side, what's this guy's allegiance. But you feel like the fact that you think that Griffith sent him after Rickert, and that's like a sign that Griffith is corrupt.
Yes, and it like gives a little bit of a hint of that. Like Griffith's utopia is not perfect.
A little bit. We saw the demons fighting other monsters, but that didn't seem like the worst thing they could be doing. And in those chapters, people are like, "Oh, I used to think these guys were so monstrous, but now I'm kind of used to them."
Yeah, and to me, this is kind of just like, rehashing the same thing we've already known from before previous chapters. It's like, oh, the humans are, feel comfortable working with the demons again. They're fighting, hand in hand, against greater foes. So I guess the giants really aren't that greater. But I mean,
well, they're like magical fey creatures, and they did look really cool. I did love Moira's designs for the, with the flayed demon flags and all their other crazy shit.
Yeah, like the roof helmet of like some giants.
Yeah.
Those designs were kind of neat.
I do agree with you in the sense that this is not what I want to see. This it felt like a troll. It felt like
what's funny? What's funny? You could see some trolls like near the king the giant's
King of the
feet.
Giants.
I almost felt like, in a way, he's like referencing like uh, how much of a filler this arc was. Like he's like referencing like the fillerness of it by like showing those trolls from the same ones that were like in that huge Berserk arc that just was to me it felt like there was not much story development at all.
What are you
with
talking
it.
about? The troll storyline was like that was like the whole coming together of Guts' new party. That's where like everyone like kind of
Yeah, it's basically just like everyone showing off like their new powers and stuff from. But in terms of like story, like not much was really not progressed.
Well, you could say like there are tons of early storylines where not much progresses. Where like, oh, Guts has to kill this giant caterpillar monster. That doesn't progress much. Oh, Guts has to kill this fairy girl. That doesn't really progress much.
In a way, it's all accumulating towards. Uh, I mean, it makes sense in those early chapters, like for Guts to kill those whatchamacallit, the
Apostles.
Beheat apostle monsters, as a way of like as a stepping stone to reach Griffith.
Yeah, but
So like each one has its own like complex story of like,
but
oh,
they're all
this is why you shouldn't.
They're all
This is why you should feel guilty for killing me.
They're all
all that.
self-contained though. Like I feel like if you like the one thing I think you can level at the troll arc is like it's probably where Berserk started to become more formulaic than it used to be. Where it's like it becomes like a traditional fantasy adventure just with like a little bit more better art design and 10% more rapiness.
But okay, like with the troll arc though, there wasn't a lot of like. You compare the troll arc to like the fairy arc. Like there's not a lot of like, deeper character development in terms of the troll arc. It's just kind of like, oh, there's these big rapey, subhuman trolls, trashing this town. Let's go save the town. Oh, there's bigger trolls.
Well, remember, they go into like there's several big things that happen. They go into like the Quipliath dimension. They meet Slan, who like makes herself out of the troll intestines, and Guts stabs her. And then the Skull Knight saves them, and that's when he reveals his Bayonet sword.
Yeah, that was kind of like a last minute ditch effort kind of way to save that arc, though. There's nothing like really leading up to something like that in terms of like a satisfying ending to me.
Oh, fuck you. The troll arc is not like Berserk at its best, but I still think it's like a fun, D&D adventure where everyone gets to show off their powers.
I mean, watching the anime version of the troll arc really reminded me about like how much time it felt like how wasteful of a time it was that Guts was like fighting off these trolls.
Fuck
like,
you. Because they condensed it down to one episode.
They could condense it down to one episode because there was so little like development.
Well, because
it
was filled with gorgeous art and mind fuckery. It was every like panel of that was like an abstract nightmare of Giger-esque horror eroticism filled with boobs and penises and all the fucking good shit we love from Kentaro Miura is the strongest fantasy comic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad like those creatures existed, and just he can do better in terms of like tying it into like greater themes and like character development and stuff. He has shown he's done better.
Screw you. So what did you think of the incredible character development of Griffith slaughtering some giants?
I mean, it's kind of like rehash of like the Kushin battle all over again to me. Just showing off like, oh, Griffith's the cool leader. He's leading all these demonic forces, and they're fighting some random ass like giants now. And I kind of wish there was a little bit of like some more story elements tied up to like, okay, why are they fighting the giants? Why is this significant? Something like that from the very beginning, and then getting a payoff, like a big payoff or something like that.
Well, yeah, I do agree. The Giants did feel like a waste of time. It did feel like a huge fuck you after like waiting decades to see Casca meet Guts again, and then now
It's like-
Griffith cucks Guts again. Now he's not just like molesting and raping Casca; he's raping the audience by taking us away from what we want to see.
Oh boy, you really said it there.
It's only so bad because it's kind of true.
Yeah, like I almost feel like Kentaro, that's the author's name, right?
Yeah, Kentaro Muera.
Kentaro, he's like buying time right now, just like showing off like, oh, let's cut to Griffith fighting these giants, so we can figure out this whole Casca thing, how he wants to resolve this.
You might be right. I remember reading somewhere that like he admitted that like his storytelling style is that he doesn't really plan shit out that much. He just kind of like does things serendipitously.
Yeah.
So you could be right on the money. It's like, oh fuck, how am I gonna play this? I don't know, man. Giants, fight the giants.
Okay, something I wanted Casca to do, like right off the bat. I was hoping she would like maybe desperately start searching for her fetus child thing, like right when she gained consciousness, like that thing really, she really cares about that thing.
Well, we think that fetus child thing is now that mysterious moonlight child, so
Right.
we'll have to see.
So she would want to look for that one.
We'll have to see if the moonlight child ever plays into anything or comes back. That's something we're still kind of like desperately waiting for. So yeah, now who knows? Maybe in the next 6 months there'll be another 4 chapters of Berzerk.
Wow.
I don't know what that Kentaro Muera guy does, but he loves taking his time.
I mean, the illustrations probably take like a massive amount of time. Like he does a pretty decent job of like, illustrating all these scenes. Like there's like this one shot of like of Zod and Griffith and the crystal dragon guy like standing in like some kind of like tilted perspective kind of thing, and it was a really beautiful shot of like seeing all the demons alongside Griffith on his like war horse too, like just really well illustrated scene.
Well, I don't know. He's got a month, and he usually only does like 19 or 20 pages, give or take, sometimes even less. So I feel like he's strong enough that he could like churn that out if he really wants to. But who knows? Here's the real question though. What do you think will end first, Hunter x Hunter or Berzerk?
Oh god, you're putting me on the spot here. Berzerk. I think Berzerk will end before Hunter x Hunter. Like, I think the Hunter x Hunter guy has a bigger chance of dying before Kentaro.
Why? Just because he's like lives in a healthy lifestyle or something?
Well,
He enjoys his health problems while Kentaro
he's
doesn't.
closer. He's closer to an end than Hunter x Hunter is.
Yeah. It feels like Hunter x Hunter could have ended, but then he decided, you know what? I want to keep on going on. And I'm going to introduce something so complicated, because I assume the end will be like Gon and Jing meeting their grandfather, who's been like on the Dark Continent for like forever, chronicling all of shit, all kinds of shit, right?
I feel like there's just so much more layers of story that Hunter x Hunter can go in. Uh, just like to unfold that whole unravel all that Pandora's box of like of storytelling. Like he really wants to go deep with that, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely got an onion of an arc, that's for sure. In terms of like
Yeah.
just the shit without even getting to the Dark Continent and the bigger questions that's supposed to be. But
Yeah.
hey, at least we got to see Griffith kill something. So for these four chapters, what would you rate them?
Um, that's really tough. 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd give him a 6 just because of the complete like fu of Griffith doing like fantasy kingdom bullshit. Although they
Yeah.
did imply that the mages that like, oh, Griffith wants to get to the Supreme Dragon Road and he needs to destroy the Dragon Road World Tree, Jabba Jubu, magic jargon, and then Gut says, well, he'll probably do that because that's who Griffith is. If there's a higher castle, he's always going to go for it.
The Dragon Road? What's that? That's something that the mages mentioned.
Yeah. They talked about how they're like magical key lines, and like one of them was like the tree that Shirke's teacher had, and that like another one's an elf island, and that like they implied Griffith is going to come for it because that's the way to attack the ley lines of magic in the Berzerk world.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then like they asked Guts what he thinks Griffith will do, and he says, if there's an obstacle, Griffith will go for it because that's who Griffith is.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I agree with your score. I think that's fair. I'm pissed, and maybe you're right. Maybe he is just buying himself time.
That's what it felt like. Like I just wanted a little bit of like payoff in terms of like story.
Well, I'm really I can't wait to hear what you think of One Piece once you get back into it, because there's
I'm excited.
there's something that happens that's almost as bad as this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'll just say this much. Oda sets up like a ton of shit that you really want to see. He drops a few lore bombshells, including revealing what might be the like main overarching villain of the entire series who we've not seen up until this point. And then it's like, I'm done. Time to go to have adventures in Wano country.
But I mean, I imagine Oda at least does it in a in a way that's kind of like One Piecey funny.
You could judge that for yourself. You could judge what you want more. I'm curious to see what you say you like better, the Wano adventures or like all the shit that it was about to go down at the Reverie.
All right. I'm excited. I can't wait to check out One Piece
I
too.
can't wait to talk about it with you. All right, so thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry for the delay. We'll figure out some way. Well, at least for these next 10 days, I'm gonna try and get as much out of Goro because, like, personally, I hate doing these alone because it's just not fun to like talk to myself. I like having someone to bounce off of.
Yeah. No, I understand. Makes a lot of sense.
It's fun to have someone to bounce off of. So we'll keep pursuing. We'll fight the good fight against Meerkat to drag Goro into this. There's part of me that was like considering to have like see if I could do it on Fridays after you and Meerkat do whatever activity you do and you're like hanging around at night, but who knows? We'll see. All right, so that finishes our thoughts. Thanks for hanging out with us, and remember, lobsters and tennas, don't you grab it.
See ya.